Reported by Mr. Author. I am 78 years old this year, and have a total of 5 children. The first 2 are girls' movies. My wife and I have been married for 50 years and have suffered a lot to raise these 5 children. My wife and I don't recognize a few words. At that time, my biggest wish was for my 3 sons to have success, and I hope to have a college student at home. The eldest brother's academic performance is not very good, and he won't miss it until middle school. He decided to drop out and go home to share the pressure. The second year didn't pass the college entrance examination for the first time, and I originally wanted to give up. However, the teacher told me that the second year had a chance of getting into university. So, with my persuasion from the first year, the second year went on to study again, and finally got into a college. After graduation, he became a teacher in the city. Although his income was not very high at first and he could only barely support his family, his retirement pension was very high. It was 5,000 or 6,000 a month. The third son was the smartest among his sons, and ultimately lived up to expectations. He passed the exam in one go and became the first university student in the village, which is also the greatest pride of the 2 of us. At present, the third child lives in Shenzhen, with a house and a car. His granddaughter has already married. Seeing that my children and grandchildren have achieved great success, my wife and I feel very relieved. Since our sons got married and started their own businesses, my wife and I have been living in 2 separate places. One went to the second wife's house to help with the children, and the other went to Shenzhen to help the third child. The eldest only has 1 daughter, and the husband and wife farm while taking care of the children. After returning to my hometown, not long ago, a total of 1 million yuan was paid for demolition. After receiving the money, I discussed with my husband, and originally, I thought this way. The boss has only 1 girl who has already married, and the couple has also paid for pension insurance. The pressure is not high, so giving them 100,000 yuan is enough. The second and third have sons, and the grandchildren all want to marry a wife. So we keep 100,000 yuan. My wife refused and scolded me for being biased, saying, although the boss only has 1 daughter, he himself is not your son. Besides, if it weren't for the boss being sensible and dropping out of school to help us provide for the other 2 sons together, could they have had it now? I didn't serve the eldest daughter-in-law to have a baby. After listening to my wife's words, I was speechless. In the end, I had to change my plan, and plan to leave 100,000 yuan for myself. The remaining 900,000 yuan was divided into 3 parts. The day before yesterday, all 3 sons returned to their hometown. After dinner, I thought it was fair enough to do this. But the boss asked me a question and fooled me. Dad, it seems you don't just have 3 sons. You also have 2 daughters. I do have 2 daughters. But it's not just me. In the eyes of people around me, all the property belongs to my son. So it's impossible to give a penny to my daughter. The children they have do not have my surname. So why should I share the money with my old Pun family? Your 2 sisters were splashed out by our married daughters, and it has nothing to do with our old Pun family. How can we share the money with them? But the boss didn't agree with my point of view and asked me, Dad, you said that your married daughter spilled water. So who has been taking care of your elderly couple for the past 6 years? 3 years ago, when you were hospitalized for 2 months, who was the person guarding the front of your bed and pouring tea? 6 years ago, my eldest daughter, who is married locally. 3 years ago, I fell ill and became very ill. I underwent surgery and was hospitalized for 2 months. After the 3 sons learned about it, they planned to hire me a caregiver. but the conditions in the small county town were not very good, and I couldn't bear them to spend this money. My second daughter, who was taking care of my grandson outside, rushed back to her hometown and changed shifts with her eldest daughter. She took care of me for 2 months until I recovered from my illness. After I was discharged from the hospital, my second daughter took us, the elderly couple. The dishes in this refrigerator at home were purchased by my second daughter's website, and my eldest daughter helped me pack them and put them in the refrigerator. Thinking of these, Dad, when my wife gave birth to Jingjing, you were not satisfied. Every once in a while, you urged me to have another one, and I had a lot of arguments with my wife. Actually, I always wanted to tell you that my son is a treasure. And so is my daughter. Whether my children are filial or not in the future is not related to gender, but only to how we become parents. If you treat your children differently, even if the 2 sisters don't mind, the brother-in-law will be angry. By then, I looked up and wanted to say something more, but my wife took my hand and didn't let me speak. Then she said, "Boss, yesterday, at the request of the boss, everyone gets together. The boss expressed his thoughts. Don't talk about the water spill by a married daughter anymore. We are all close relatives. We are all brothers and sisters who break bones and tendons. And we all have a share of this money. Sister and sister, you are married daughters. And according to tradition, you are not eligible to share it. However, you have fulfilled your obligation to provide for your parents' elderly care and show filial piety to them. With this, you are eligible to share the money. Therefore, you each take 150,000 yuan. Your parents keep 100,000 yuan. And the remaining 3 sons are 600,000 yuan. Divide equally." The 2 daughters hugged the eldest, crying profusely. The second and third shook their heads and said they had no objections. The 3 daughters-in-law applauded at the same time, and I felt increasingly ashamed. After allocating the demolition funds, they discussed my retirement plan again. And in the end, everyone reached an agreement. The boss is responsible for summarizing. "Dad, Mom, since you 2 plan to stay in your hometown for the elderly, then I and the older sister who stay in your hometown will take care of you. Now that you have the ability to take care of yourself, we will continue to live here and often come to see you, help you with your work. When you are no longer able to take care of yourself, you will stay at my house, and the older sister will assist me. As for the second sister and 2 younger brothers, they will give you 10,000 yuan in support every year. And when you get sick, I am very satisfied with this elderly care plan. And my spouse is also very happy." This morning, the eldest brother distributed the demolition funds to everyone according to the distribution plan.